Good day, everyone. So I am here to discuss the continuation of the topic. We actually started the discussion on the describing group performance. And after that, we also discussed a specific part, which is the measure of central tendency, wherein we started discussing mean. No? So we started discussing the mean for grouped data and mean for ungrouped data. And then I believe I also discussed the definition of the group data kung saan at kung paano natin masasabi na ito ay group data. And then I also defined the term frequency distribution and of course the term frequency. Okay, and then by that discussion, we knew that the mean for group data is also called as the midpoint method. Okay, and then I also gave you the formula of the mean for grouped data, that is x bar is equal to summation of fx sub m over n. Okay. So I did give you an example for that to solve for the mean for group data. And then I also discussed the properties of the mean and then when to use mean. So I believe that you all know that. And I think although no, I am not expecting really a really part of what we call alam nyo talaga or skills on solving it, but then again I believe I did give you the feeling and then of course the actual representation of our discussion, which is mean, grouped and ungrouped data. Okay, so I will be now sharing my screen for our continuation. So we will be discussing the next part of it. Okay. So that is describing group performance. Okay. So we will now proceed to median. Okay, so this is measure of central tendency for median. Okay, median is the second type of measures of central tendency. And median is what divides the scores in the distribution into two equal parts because we will be dividing really literally. We will be counting scores no, in the distribution and then two equal parts siya. If you're going to look at the term median, you're actually thinking of middle, no? Median. Okay. So that is why I emphasizing here at two equal, and you will understand more, or you can actually imagine that later. No, anong ibig sabihin ng two equal parts? Okay, this one, 50% lies below the median value, no, because of course we'll be getting a value here and we call it the median value. And according to here, 50% lies below the median value, and then 50% lies above the median value. And it is also known as the middle score or the 50th percentile. Okay. And the numbers must arrange from lowest to highest. You really have to arrange it because um, unlike for our mean, sa mean natin hindi naman talaga siya kailangan i-arrange, no? I-arrange lang nato siya because we really wanted to have a somewhat like a very arranged data in such a matter that we can identify easily kung saan yung the lowest score and then of course the highest score. But for the case of our median score, we really have to arrange them because of some reason, a very technical reason. So we really have to arrange them for us to identify kung asa ang highest score and then asa ang lowest score, no? So it's all up to you if you're going to arrange it for a descending or ascending order. When the number cases are odd, the median score is a score that has the same number of scores below and above it. Okay, anyway, you will you will have a visual for this, no? Itong case na ito. But according to here, with the number of cases down, like for example, our score, if we have odd scores, meaning to say, do you have ano ba, 7 scores, no? The median score is a score that has the same number of scores below and above it. So yung median score daw ay ito yung score na kung saan if we're going to count the number of scores below the median score, the same siya na number if we're going to count also the median score above it. Okay. When the scores are even, determine the average of the two middlemost scores that have equal number of scores below and above it. Anyway, I will be giving you example for you really to visualize these two cases of the odd and even. Okay, so we'll be having the median for ungrouped data. And of course, we have to arrange the scores from lowest to highest and then determine the middlemost score in a distribution if n now is an odd number and get n is an odd number and get the average of the two middlemost scores if n is an even number. So we really have to count it, no? Kung ilan yung ating a number of observations. Okay, let's try to have an example. Find the median score of 7 students in an English class. Is 7 even or odd? Yes, very good, no? 7 is an odd number, okay? So therefore, then, we have to follow this rule. Determine the middlemost score in a distribution if n is an odd number. Okay, so let's try to, sorry, naka-separate pa lang example natin starting from median. So I will shift now the screen. Okay, so let's try to look at example number 1. Okay, so find, according to our example, find the median score of 7 students in an English class, and you answered 7 as an odd number, okay, because 7 really is an odd number. Okay, find the median score of 7 students in an English class. So ito yung arrangement ng ating score. Okay. So we have 19, 17, 16, 15, 10, 5, 2. And then try to look at, let's count down the middlemost score. So we have 1, 2, 3, 15. Then 1, 2, 3, 15. Therefore, 15 here is our median. Okay. Now let's try to look at the analysis, no, for you really to understand kung ano yung ibig sabihin natin ng 50% lies below the median score and 50% lies above the median score. Now, 15 here is called as the median score. Okay, so that is our median score. So that is why if we're going to write our analysis, the median score is 15. Okay, so 50% or 3 of the scores, 50% no, or 3 of the scores are above 15 here. So ano ito? We have 19, 17, and 16, and that is true. We have 3 scores here. Okay. Oh, and 50% or 3 of the scores are below 15. We have 10, 5, 2. So kung titingnan natin kanina, if we're going to look at, if we're going to count no, the scores below and above our median score, they have the same number of cases. So if we're going to count below 15, we have 10, 5, 2, we have 3 scores. If we're going to count above 15, you also have 3 scores. Okay? Kaya siya tinawag na median score, and then bakit siya tinawag na 50-50, no? And actually, in our reference here, we actually call this as the middle score or the 50th percentile. Okay? Middle score siya, it is because scores below any number below the median score, kung ilan yan, the same din yung numbers or frequency or counts above our median score. So that's it. Okay, I hope that is clear. Next, let's try to have example number 2. Find the median score of 8 students in an English class. Is 8 even or odd? Very good, no? When we say 8, that is of course even. So we will apply the rule for even. According to the rule, hanapin daw yung two middlemost scores, and then you have to identify their average, no, as we call it. So tingnan natin kung paano siya i-state, no? So and get the average of the two middlemost scores if n is an even number. So kung babalikan natin yung definition, so when the scores are even, determine the average of the two middlemost scores that have equal number of scores below and above it. So anyway, let's try to look at now example number 2. Again, example number 2, find the median score of 8 students in an English class. So we have 8 scores. Let's try to count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 scores. And then let's try to count the middle score. Let's try to look at. So if we're going to look at, we have 32. Okay. We have 19.5. We have 17.10. We have 16. So meaning to say, meron tayong 2 middlemost scores. We have 16 and 15. Sir, ito na po yung median score natin, no? Because our median score is actually only one. You cannot have 2 median scores, no? That is why if you have this case, you have to get the average of the 2 median scores. So ang gagawin lang natin, we just have to add them and then divided by 2. So we have 16 plus 15 divided by 2. Therefore, our median score is 15.5. Sir, can I write 16? Can I round it off? No. Please, as much as possible, do not round it off, because that could actually affect the value of our median score and of course our analysis. In a way, the reason why don't we have, based on my understanding also, if I'm going to look at ang rason kung bakit hindi natin siya kailangan i-round for as it is siya is to know, of course, and to look at that this particular data or this particular result is actually coming from the even cases, no? So isa siya sa palatandaan. If we're going to write there 16, no, if we're going to write there 16, I would interpret that the value or the median score is coming from an odd cases. Okay, so we really have to stick for 15.5, and that is now our median score. Now, how to interpret? I hope you understand, no? Nakuha natin. So how to interpret the children? So the median score is 15.5. Talaga, which means that 50% of the scores in the distribution are lower than 15.5. Ito yung interpretation natin, no? If we're going to look at the interpretation of our mean, we have the same pattern. We're trying to look at now the value below the score and then above the score. Okay. So, ang ibig sabihin again, which means that 50% of the scores in the distribution are lower than 15.5. Lower than 15.5. Ano yung mga scores lower than 15.5? We have 15. We have 10. We have 5. We have 2. Some of you might exclude 15, no? Ito yung naging mali ko sa when I count it, because I disregarded 15 already, no? 15 pala should be included because 15 is lower than 15.5. Okay, so that is why we have to include 15. That is why the scores below 15.5 are 15, 10, 5, and 2. And that is correct. And of course, and 50% are greater than 15.5. Ano yung mga numbers na greater than 15.5? Those are 16, okay, 17, 19, and 30. Okay. If we're going to look at now, if we're going to count children, I told you that our median score, if we're going to count the, what do you call this, to count the cases. Like for example, sa scores natin, if we're going to count the scores below and above the median score, they have the same number of scores. Okay, let's try to count. 15.5 below, we have 15. 1, 2, 3, 4. 15.5 above, we have 16, 17, 19, 30, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so which means 4 scores are below 15.5 and 4 scores are above 15.5. Kaya nga, sinabi kanina sa presentation natin that ano yung nandun? 50%, no? Median daw is what divides the scores in the distribution into 2 equal parts. So 50% lies below the median value and 50% lies above the median value. Okay. So 50-50 mo na sila, therefore they should have the same number of cases below and above the median score. I hope nakuha, because right after this I will be uploading our activity sheet. No? So right after the median for ungrouped data, we will proceed to median of grouped data. If you're going to look at, if you're going to try to look at our representations for mean median mode, you would notice that sa group data, meron talaga siyang formula. Ginagamitan talaga siya ng formula. Okay. Let's try to look at the formula of the median of group data. The tricky part here is that siguro yung statistics talaga, if we're going to compare it to algebra, trigonometry, and even calculus, yung statistics, yung pinaka, for me, easy na math, some point, branch of mathematics, if I'm not mistaken, statistics. Kasi nga, although napaka-complicated ang formula, but then again, all you have to do is to follow the rules, no? To follow their, what you call these features also. So in the first place, we really have to understand first the formula. Okay, so we have our x bar is equal to LB. And LB here is the lower boundary of the median class, or MC. Please take note of the acronym or the labels, no? Plus, we have here n over 2 minus CFP. When we say CFP, that is our cumulative frequency. Okay. And then divided by FM. When we say FM, that is the frequency of the median class. And then our CI, that is our size of class interval or the class interval. Okay, so let's run through everything. X bar is that is a median value. Our MC is what we call the median class. So when we say median class now is a category containing the n over 2. So we'll understand more kung ano ibig sabihin ng n over 2 dito na part. And then LB again, that is the lower boundary of the median class. Okay, and then CFP, that is the cumulative frequency. Please take note, before the median class. Okay, if the scores are arranged from lowest to highest. Okay, before na siya, no, nilagay dito, sorry for the confusions, no. A cumulative frequency before the median class if the scores are arranged from lowest to highest value. Okay. From lowest to lowest value. Never mind first yung naka-parenthesis because that's the other thing, no? The other way around. So please, ang gagawin natin dito, we really have to arrange it from lowest to highest as much as possible. So, ito daw, CFP, that is the cumulative frequency before the median class if the scores are arranged from lowest to highest value. And of course, our FM, that is the frequency of the median class. And then again, the CI is the class interval or the size of the class interval. So here are the steps in solving our median for group data before we proceed to our example. First one is to complete the table for CF. Okay. And then of course we have to get the n/2 of the scores in the distribution so that you can identify MC or the median class. Okay. And then number 3, determine of course the other variables. We have the LB, the lower boundary. We have CFP, that is a cumulative frequency, no? FM, we have frequency of the median class, and then CI, the size of the class interval or our class interval. Ang pinaka-easy siguro dito ma-identify yung class interval. Ang pinakauna because all you have to do is to count. No? Ang gagawin nyo lang dito is to count lang children. Okay. And then of course, number 4, you have to solve the median using the formula. Okay, so let's try to look at an example for you to understand. I believe hindi ko siya nalagay dito. Yes. For example 3, scores of 40 students in a science class consist of 60 items and they are tabulated. The highest score is 54 and the lowest score is 10. So we have to arrange this in such a manner that we should expect that 10 ang nasa taas isulat una and then ang last would be 54. Again, children, this is group data. Therefore, you should expect that you will be creating a frequency distribution table. Let's try to look at the example for median. Okay. Of course, the formula. Hopefully, di madungo akong ubo. Okay. So here is now the example. No? Again, scores of 40 students in a science class consist of 60 items and they are tabulated below. The highest score is 54 children. I'm going to look at 54. Di ba sa rulings natin sa paggawa ng FDT sa na-discuss ko, ang highest score should be written on this part, no? And then the lowest score should be written on this side. And that is now our table. Lakihan ko lang ng konti. Sorry, parang hindi ko talaga ginamitan ito ng ruler, no? Yan. Sige. Okay. That one? Okay. I'm going to look at, let's try to palakihin pa natin. Okay. So that is now our FDT. Sige. And then of course we have here the value of F. That is our frequency. So that is equivalent to 40. Kindly recheck the value, no? Baka may nagkamali. And then CF. Ito yung CF natin. Okay. CF. Less than. Okay. Okay. We have 5, 7. Let's try to review how to get our CF, the cumulative frequency. 5 dito. Sandali lang ha. Parang I have to use another selection. We have to use another. Anyway, okay. Okay. We have our 5 here. So atong yung frequency natin 5, so you have to place it here 5. 5 plus 2, 7. Okay. And then 7 plus 3, you have 10. 10 plus 5, you have 15. We have 15 plus 2, that is 17. And then 17 plus 9, that is 26. And then 26 plus 6, that is 32. 32 plus 3, we have 35. 35 plus 5, that is 40. Okay. Sir, para malaman ninyo kung tama yung ginawa ninyong cumulative frequency, the last number should be the number of cases. So we have 4 students here. Sorry, if your frequency is in total of 40, dapat 40 din yung lalabas sa pinaka-last. If we're going to count for your cumulative or compute for your cumulative frequency, it should be 40 here. So I hope you get it. So we are done. We have now our 3 columns for our categories. By the way, we call this categories, no? Kinisha. 10 to 14, that is one category. 15 to 19, one category, and so on. So these are our categories. Now, our first step, according to our according sa steps, no, we have to complete the table for CF. So we completed the table. Right after that, we have to get n over 2 of the scores in the distribution so that we can identify MC. Okay, so we have to get n over 2. So how to do it? Of course, we have to solve n over 2. Okay, so we have to solve n over 2. So n is equal to 40 divided by 2, you get 20. Okay. So anong gagawin natin sa 20? The category containing n over 2 is 35 to 39. Sir, paano po namin malaman yung 35 to 39? Na wala naman po doon sa value natin yung tinatawag natin 20. So here's the catch, everyone. Please listen carefully. No? First, siguro, ang pinakauna natin gagawin right after solving our n over 2, you have to get the other thing, no? Yung MC natin, hindi muna natin malalaman. Ang kukunin muna natin, children, would be CFP. We have to get CFP first. How to get CFP? Please take note that our n over 2 is 20. Okay, 20 yung n over 2 natin. So let's try to find CFP first before we can have we can identify so that we can see kung paano kinuha yung 35 to 39. Okay. So remember that CFP here is a cumulative frequency before the median class if the scores are arranged from lowest to highest value. Sir, sinabi mo, sir, kailangan natin siyang kunin. Bakit po kailangan natin malaman yung median class? Remember that n over 2 is 20. According to here, maghahanap daw tayo ng cumulative frequency before the median class. So yung median class natin, according to our definition, MC is a category, siya yung category containing the n over 2. So ilan yung n over 2 natin? 20. Therefore, sabi niya, cumulative frequency before the median class if the scores are arranged from lowest to highest. Now, if we're going to look at the value of CF here, okay, kung titingnan natin yung value ng CF natin dito, wala tayong makikitang 20. Now, makikita lang natin we have 5, 7, 10, 15, 17, 26, 32, 35, and 40. Try to look at the arrangement of our CF. Our CF is actually arranged from lowest to highest. Therefore, yung formula natin for CFP is actually applicable for this. Ang sinabi niya, CFP daw is the cumulative frequency before the median class. So our median class is 20. Before 20, we have the value of 17. Sir, bakit po hindi pwede 26? Because 26 is after 20. Sir, how about 15? Ang layo because we have 17. Therefore then, the value of CFP, so meron na tayong value ng CFP, the value of CFP is 17. Okay. Dahil nakita na natin yung CFP na 17, let's follow everything. So, meaning to say, nakita na natin, CFP is 17. So we have to write CFP is equal to 17. Now, the next thing na hahanapin natin would be FM, the frequency of the median. Okay. Remember that yung, ibig sabihin, di ba ang sabi kanina, yung ano daw natin, yung CFP is before siya sa median class. So meaning to say, after, no? After ng, sa CF, no? Sa CF na part, di ba, if we're going to look at the CF na part and then the equivalent frequency that is 2, okay. The next of that should be the frequency of our median class. Okay. So naraang frequency sa median class, FM9. So kung titingnan natin yung frequency, saan ba nakatutok yung 9? Sa 35 to 39. That is why, sa ating example, okay, that is why children, sa ating example, n over 2 is 20. Okay? And then the category containing n over 2 is 35 to 39. Okay? So MC natin is 35 to 39. We get 35 to 39 because of the n over 2. Paano natin kinuha yung n over 2? Hinanap muna natin si CFP. Okay. And then the LL of the MC, ibig sabihin ng LL, that is lower limit. So ano ba yung lower limit dito, di ba? The first side is the lower limit. The second side is the upper limit. So LL of the MC, that is 35. So that is why meron tayong 35 dito. L sub B, that is the lower boundary. Lower boundary natin, that is, di ba, pag lower boundary in this side, minus 0.5. That is why we have 34.5. And then, of course, we all know that CFP is 17. And then the frequency of the median class is 9. And then our class interval is 5. Sir, bakit po 5? Okay. Ito yung sinabi ko kanina na ang pinaka-easy siguro i-identify dito ay yung class interval kasi nga ang gagawin mo lang is to count. Sir, paano ma-identify ang or to determine your CI? Mag-count ka 10 to 14. So you have to include 10 and 14. So you have to count 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You got 5. That is why the value of CI here, the value of CI is 5. Okay. So the value are, no, the numbers are now ready. So we have to plug it in sa ating formula. So our formula is X bar is equal to L sub B plus quantity N over 2 minus CFP divided by FM CI. Okay, so we have 34.5 plus our N over 2 is 20 minus our CFPs, that is 17, divided by the frequency of the median class, that is 9, and then our class interval 5. Okay. So ang gagawin natin yung pag-solve dito, wag latin muna, yung isolve muna natin yung nasa parenthesis. So we have 20 minus 17, you have 3 over 9. Okay, right after that, ang i-multiply naman natin, you have to get 3 divided by 9 times 5. So you get 15 over 9. Yung iba, ang makukuha nila dito is decimal, pwede nag-abot siya, no? And that is equivalent to 1.67. So you will get 34.5 plus 1.67, you will get 30.17. Okay, so what is now the interpretation, no? The analysis of this? The same, no? The median value is 36.17, which means that 50% or 20 scores are less than 36.17. Okay? So 50% or 20 scores. Kasi nga, remember, ano ito? 40 sila lahat. So which means that 50% or 20 scores are less than 36.7. You can also say that 50% or 50% or 20 scores are greater than 36.17. That is the analysis for our median grouped data. Okay, so that's it. We have another example. Okay, of course, we have to look at now the properties of the median. I hope you get it. So, properties of the median, number one, it may not be an actual observation in the data set. The same with our mean, no? Because by the time you will be calculating it, dili siya mag-exist. Like for example, our 36.17. Our 36.17 is actually not part of the data set. No? Number two, it can be applied in ordinal level. Our median, our median, uh, median, no, the central tendency can be applied in ordinal level. Again, remember we have the nominal, the ordinal. We also have here the ratio, and then of course the interval. So for this, it can be applied in ordinal level. If you forgot the definition or of the ordinal level or the feature of ordinal level of measurement, try to go back our previous lesson so that you can imagine it. Number three, it is not affected by extreme values because median is a positional measure. I think this is the main difference between median and mode because for median, the median score, sorry, for mean score, sa mean score nato, our mean score can be really affected by extreme values, no? Ang sinabi ko nga, other term for extreme, mga outliers nato, no? Nga, like yung kay scores. Merong score na 1. For example, if you are the student and then uh, magto-total or mag-average na yung teacher mo, so sa 10 quizzes mo, ang layo ng scores mo. Meron kang 3 perfect, pero the rest of it kay gagmay kang score which is opposite with. That could actually affect your mean score. No, the value of your mean score actually can be dragged by the extreme values. But for the median, dili siya, no? It cannot be affected by extreme values because if you're going to observe the feature of our median, median is very positional. Ibig sabihin, hinahanap niya yung location, no? Center lang ng score. So it's more about the position of the scores. Therefore then, kahit marami tayong mga outliers, kahit marami tayong extreme values, the value of our median score cannot be affected by it because again that is our median is a positional measure. So when to use the mean median, the median, sorry. Number one, the exact midpoint of the score distribution is desired. Kung gustuhin natin malaman the exact midpoint. So ang gamitin natin, wag nang patumpik-tumpik pa, we have to use median. Number two, there are extreme scores in the distribution. If there are extreme scores, might be because it could actually affect your interpretation later. It could affect the whole process. That is why if there are a lot of extreme scores in the distribution, might be you opt to use the other measure of central tendency, and that is median. I think that is for the discussion for the median. I hope you get the process because right after this we will be discussing naman mood. And let's try to look at now the differences among the three right after we discuss. So I hope you get it. So thank you for listening and thank you so much.